Uncle Tom's Cabin by Harry Beecher Stowe. Any of you?
Me.
Oh, I'm G.E. Hunter. Sorry. Alright, have any of you heard of Uncle Tom's Cabin?
Yes.
Okay. So you guys kind of know what it's about.
No.
Some don't, some do. That's okay. This lesson is intended for 9th, 10th grade American history classroom. The students will have prior knowledge of primary source analysis, as well as things such as the Compromise of 1850. Some of the causes they already know. This will be encompassed in a larger unit on the causes of the Civil War. They will also have a good grasp on the different perceptions of slavery, both in the North and in the South, because not all Northerners were against slavery. This lesson kind of encompasses both primary source analysis and continuity reading strategy, which Tyler kind of used. I'll use a couple different strategies. Alright, I'm going to start my lesson kind of in the middle, so I'm going to kind of let you guys know what the students would have done. We would have started class, I would have had this written on the board with directions, kind of telling the students to come up on the board, write a word or a phrase that they associate with the slave trade in America. They would have had kind of prior knowledge to this, so they would have been able to come up with words or phrases. After this, we'd kind of have a short discussion about why they put these up. All students would participate. Now I'm going to start my portion of the lesson. I'm just going to kind of give you a little background of Uncle Tom's Cabin. Alright, Harriet Beecher Stowe, she was an abolitionist. She was actually born in Connecticut, but she did move to Cincinnati, Ohio, where she did get to witness some of the slaves coming up as she was riding the border with Kentucky. So she did have some experience in witnessing how slave owners handled their slaves. This book was written in response to the Fugitive Slave Law, which you guys have learned, the Compromise of 1850, right? So you know that well. This book was very influential in portraying slavery emotionally. Many people didn't really connect their emotions to slavery, even in the North, besides abolitionists. But so it set like a definite line between the North and South in opinions of slavery. Very important, it was sold the second most amount of books in the 19th century, besides the Bible, of course. And many books were written in response to this in the South, because obviously the South was outraged by this. Alright, so now I'm going to pass you guys out. Actually, sorry, can you guys get in groups of 2, please? Doesn't matter, you guys can be from the same major. Doesn't matter. They would do this individually, but I thought only 6 people were going to be here, so now I can group you guys up. It's okay. Only look at the front for now, please. Alright, so my students would have seen this kind of stuff before. This is primary source analysis for sourcing. It's very important before you read a primary source to kind of look at who wrote it, why are they writing it, just the questions on there. Is it going to be believable? You have to kind of analyze your source before you read it to make sure that you know the biases that go with it. So you guys don't have to fill this out. I just kind of want you to kind of look at the questions. Obviously the students would fill this out for assessment as well. Now, this is the part of the lesson where I would hang out the reading. Uncle Tom's Cabin is a novel, but I will only have them read the first chapter, which is about 13-ish pages. They would complete this in class with a partner, same partner that they're filling out the sheet with. Like you said, some people have even read Uncle Tom's Cabin, some people don't kind of know what it's about. The first chapter kind of deals with the slave trade. That's obviously why I had this on the board. That was actually a link strategy. It kind of gave background to the students, kind of got their balls rolling in their minds to, what we're going to work with today. Now, Uncle Tom's Cabin, the first chapter is really about the interaction between an upper southern slave owner and a deep south slave owner as well. He is actually coming up looking to buy slaves from him. I want you guys just to read a page from the chapter, just kind of giving you an insight to what the students are reading. So you guys can read that. You know when you need to scroll down more. Is everyone finished their reading? Almost? Give you guys a minute more. Okay, if you guys don't already know, this is Eliza is a slave on Mr. Shelby's plantation, and she overhears the two people talking about selling Tom, which is actually her husband, so this is why she gets upset. What do you guys see from this excerpt here? It kind of would be stunning to people back in this time. Some people, okay, yeah. What about the emotional part of this? What would be kind of eye-opening to people who have just seen slavery as part of life? Something that needs to be done, or something just part of life.
How emotional to say that?
Yeah, definitely. That's the big one. It's actually kind of astonishing people didn't really connect emotions to slaves. They didn't really connect family, children, their husbands. What would happen if they were separated from each other? Anything else? Okay. Nothing else? Would you guys flip over the backside of your primary source analysis? All right, this is contextualizing the primary source. This is also important to know the motives of the reader and kind of puts you in the shoes of what the stuff that was going on around the writer of this time. What it was like to be alive. What things were different. Obviously, there was a ton of stuff that were different. Okay, but think of and in terms of tension between races, classes, between the North and South during this time. And what would it look like to see it in the eyes of someone else back then? We kind of did that with discussion a little bit. All right, now I have, the students would then fill it out, and we would discuss a little bit, and then I would have these 4 different perspectives on the board that the students have seen before. Real quick, guys, could you get out a piece of paper, please? Or just write on, you can write on the primary source analysis, just as partners, one person can write. Just each perception, kind of guess how they would perceive Uncle Tom's Cabin, what reactions would they get from this reading, from reading this during this time. Give you guys about a minute to do this. Nothing too elaborate, just kind of sketch down something real quick so we can discuss. they feel about the book, like what's included in the book. Or, yeah, well, because, yes, that's true, it's whatever you want, just put down, nothing's wrong, it's just opinion.
When you say deep south syllables and just a southern scholars, like, are you talking about implantation versus this one?
Right, well, it's written in what?
So, and they would, would be like Mr. Shelby versus the guy from Scotland.
And she's been using
Kind of heard something like that. Obviously, the guy from Texas. All right, how you guys coming on this? You guys got just something little jotted down? Okay, cool. Can I have maybe someone tell me what the abolitionists would think about this reading?
They might be moved. Persuaded, angry or sad or emotional.
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, abolitionists, they're against it. Maybe they would use this in some of their speeches. It would connect to everyone, maybe. They would, yes, definitely be moved by this because this is what they've tried to been preaching this whole time is that slaves are just like everyone else in terms of emotional state and such. What about for a deep south slave owner? You guys have for that?
They would be upset.
Definitely. They definitely would be upset. Why?
They wouldn't, either they would be in denial, like this isn't how it is, or they would be upset that someone was opposing their bad treatment
Definitely.
in like a negative way.
As we have learned, the Deep South slave owners thought they were doing something good for the black race at this time. They thought they were benefiting them. And they got upset by this because it portrayed them as a bad type of people. Right? All right, so that kind of concludes just my lesson for this class. I just want you to see another reading strategy I would have had. This is just, that would kind of conclude day one. This is kind of a two-day lesson. It's called Diverse Perspectives. And with this day two lesson, the students would get into groups of 4. You can just press, so they can just see. They would get in groups of 4. I would kind of bring them back, discuss this again, and